1 year ago, I quit the life I was supposed to want. No certainty, no plan B, just the feeling I was meant for more. This channel exists because I chose that feeling, and this video is the story of a year in which I went finding myself at 30, and which turned out to be the best year of my life so far. If we still haven't met each other, hi, I'm Katerina, and at 30 I put my corporate career on hold, I hope forever, and I started an art academy. On this channel I'm documenting my journey, all the challenges, breakthroughs and lessons I learned along the way. Welcome to my channel. So everything started 1 year ago when things weren't going well with my job. You can imagine yourself. That made me go through a very hard period. I really felt like a failure. During that time, while I was looking for jobs, I realized that inside me there was a very deep feeling, very deep willingness to create. On top of that, the algorithm, which always knows before us what we really want, kept showing me videos of people who painted, who created, something I never allowed myself to really do. In fact, I've always been an extremely responsible person. I've always wanted to secure myself a good life, and I was convinced I could do that through studying a lot, working a lot. I've always worked a lot in my life. At university, for example, when I wasn't studying, I was working, and I must say I missed a little bit of the fun of those years. And going back to a year ago, during that difficult period, I came across an ad on Instagram of a couple of academies who were doing open days. And in my head, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go, just out of curiosity, and I'm gonna see how it is. That week, I went on 2 different open days of 2 different academies, and my mind was blown away. I couldn't believe places like that existed. The energy inside was amazing. Just the thought of going there felt like a dream. That same week, I received a great job offer. It was the best job offer I had ever gotten. It had a great salary, many benefits, for example, a car, bonuses, meal vouchers, and so on. But when I received that offer, when I was reading it, I felt like I was watching the academy dream fall apart. And until the moment, I haven't even realized that was a dream. When I read that offer, all I could see were the corporate dynamics that I was trying to run away from, but also the societal dynamics who tell you who you need to be, how you need to be, and what you need to do. In that period especially, I realized that in corporate life, I always felt like I was wearing a mask and slowly losing my true self. I felt like I was on autopilot, on the same path that was already written for everyone. It was thanks to therapy that I realized all this. Therapy helped me start asking myself questions like, who am I? What do I want? How do I feel? Questions I had never dared ask myself before. So that week, when I felt incredibly excited for those open days, but at the same time deeply uncomfortable about a great job offer, was the moment that I realized that for once, I should have listened to myself, to my gut, because my life needed to be built around something that excited me as much as going to those open days. So I took the courage and enrolled in one of those academies. I call it courage because I left something that I knew for the unknown. But I also knew that if I hadn't done it, if I accepted that offer, I would have regretted it for my whole life. And I knew it that if I didn't do it in that moment, it was unlikely that I had another chance like this. I must say that this courage also came from a very supportive boyfriend and mom who really encouraged me to take this decision. And at the same time, I was watching countless videos on YouTube of people changing their lives at 30. So in my head, I was like, why couldn't that be me? When I made that decision, I promised myself something. I promised that this would be the year dedicated to trusting my gut, even when it felt difficult, and being true to myself. And if I was happy doing this, I would never go back to my previous life. It would be a year where I would invest in my growth. Not the kind of growth that someone was expecting from me, like a promotion, for example, but personal growth that really made me feel fulfilled. I enrolled at the academy as a full-time student for 6 months, and then I renewed for another period with the intention to change my life. I didn't just want to get good at drawing and painting, I wanted to get great at it. That's why in my videos, maybe you've noticed, I'm very aware of my progress, but at the same time I'm critical about my results. Because I know where I want to be and I'm not there yet, and it's normal, it's a long journey. I knew that these months at the academy would have been a hell of a ride, and I've always been aware of how lucky I was to even give myself the opportunity to do this. I was and I am extremely grateful for this. And that's also why I started documenting my journey. First, myself, because I wanted to remember every single emotion I was experiencing. I didn't care about being cringe. I was doing it for myself, and I'm still doing it for myself. And I've always been convinced that when you do things for yourself, the outcome is always better than when you do things for other people. I don't know if you agree with this. With these videos, I wanted to keep track of my progress, be able to look back and see how much I've grown, and show what realistic progress looks like in an age where social media make us believe that either we're born with talent or we're no one and we cannot do anything, or maybe it's too late to start a new journey. In fact, most of the people on the social media talk about the perfect side of things, but almost never show how many years or months, how much time it took them to get there. I also wanted to do it for those who cannot live the same experience as I am, or for those who are undecided whether to take a big step at this stage of their lives. I don't even remember the specific videos I was watching 1 year ago when I took the courage to take this decision, but I really hope that my video can do the same for you. You might say, hey, you're speaking too early, this story doesn't have an ending, and that's true, it doesn't have an ending yet, but I can tell you that trusting my gut and being true to myself led me to have the best year of my life so far. And no matter how things will turn out, I would never trade this year with the money that a job that doesn't fulfill me could have given me. I'm also convinced that the only possible ending is a happy one, because when something comes from within, the universe finds a way. Now, why has this been the best year of my life? By attending the academy, I finally found an environment where being my true self wasn't weird, but was actually encouraged and embraced. One of the first questions that my teacher, who later became my mentor, asked me was why I was there. It wasn't a trick question, it didn't have a right or wrong answer, it didn't have a performance review or a grade attached. And regardless of my answer, I had someone in front of me who genuinely wanted to help me reach my goal, which in my case was becoming great at drawing and painting and change my life. In there, I really allowed myself to be me. I found my environment, something I really needed. I wasn't scared of making mistakes. I wasn't being evaluated as I had been my whole life. I remember my first day at the academy, which was probably the only scaring one, because everyone was so good and I was so bad. And I mean, it's normal, it was my first day there. But from the second day, when I started approaching and talking to people, they came to me, they were really encouraging, and they were even showing me their drawings from their first days or months, and that was really comforting. I was finally where I needed to be. I was fully aligned. I was and I am learning how to draw and paint, something that I really wanted to do for years. And I was profoundly happy doing it. I'm growing so much, not only artistically, but mentally as well. I'm realigning with myself and trying to become a better person every day by listening to myself and to my gut. Allowing myself to be me also allowed me to meet incredible people. Amazing teachers, amazing friends, people who love me for who I am. And every day I'm deeply grateful for them. Beyond people, I also started to attract work opportunities that are much more aligned with who I am now, something closer to the art world. But I still said no because, do you remember my goal? Becoming great at drawing and painting. So I still need to learn, I still have the opportunity to do it, and that's why, trying to be true to myself, I decided to keep going on this journey, trusting the future and knowing that even greater opportunities will arrive. I lived every day so intensely that when I got home in the evening, often very late and after very long hours at the academy, I was so pumped. I kept wanting to draw and paint, and I felt like there were never enough hours in a day because I felt too excited. And you know what? Before this experience, I hated my alarm clock. But from this year, I couldn't wait for it to ring. I couldn't wait to start a new day. Mondays, as you might know if you watch my previous videos, became my favorite days of the week because they meant going back to a place I loved to do what I loved. You know, like the whole year felt like waking up after years on autopilot, like seeing colors again. And I'm not saying it just because I do art. In the past, I only felt like this when I traveled, when I escaped my daily life. But this year, I felt like this 365 days. That's why I'm so grateful, and I want to record this and I want to share it with you to give you the courage to take this decision in case you were going through the same stage of your life. And in fact, I also opened this YouTube channel where I document my growth and see my community grow week by week. I hope it inspires someone to love art or maybe to take some courageous steps in their life. because this year taught me that it's really worth taking brave decisions, trusting your gut, and trying to live your best possible life, even if it's for 1 year. Don't misunderstand me, I'm still discovering who I am day by day. You know, that person who I buried myself deep down to fit society's expectations. And as I discover her, the people around me are discovering her too. And I've been incredibly lucky to have the most loving boyfriend who's supporting me a lot in this journey and who's discovering this person with me, or actually is seeing myself being me. Most of my friends reacted the same way, but not all of them. Some of them didn't understand, some of them were a little bit judgmental, but that's okay. When you realign with who you truly are, not everyone is meant to stay. They make space for people who are more aligned with you. I know I've been really lucky to do all this, but I also believe that in some part I created these conditions for myself and for these things to happen by listening to myself. And again, I'll never be grateful enough to therapy for that. So yeah, this was my year, and I'm documenting this because I want to have everything here, everything recorded, because I'm gonna see this in the future and I'm gonna inspire myself maybe. And I also hope that this video can inspire someone out there who might be going through a difficult period or just needs a little bit of courage to go on a self-discovery journey. If you enjoyed this video so far, please subscribe to my channel and give a like to the video. Your support would mean a lot to me. And now that this year is over, well, I really see it as a continuation of a beautiful journey, and the next year is gonna be even greater. Deep down, I know that this time next year, I'm gonna be back telling you how even more amazing my year had been. I'll have improved so much in drawing and painting that you might be wondering how that girl that you followed from the very beginning reached those results. You'll see this YouTube channel grow, and for the record, at the time that I'm recording, I'm at 554 subscribers right now, and I'm sure that next year, this time, it's gonna be so many more. And you'll see me achieving things I'm not even thinking right now. And just in case you didn't understand this, I'm really manifesting hard, but I'll prove you its power, because I'm no longer willing to settle with something that doesn't light me up. And I really believe that when you follow your true passion, when you're really honest with yourself, you can unlock paths you cannot even believe. If you're curious to see how this journey unfolds, please subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, follow my newly opened TikTok channel. But mostly, if this video inspired you, please let me know which dream are you chasing or want to chase. If you're truly determined, I'm sure it's not a matter of if you'll achieve it, but when. Have faith, don't settle, I believe in you. And I'll see you in the next video.